My brother bragged about taking my job until he saw me on the news as his new boss. I never thought my own brother would be the one to stab me in the back. Let's rewind. I worked for a mid-sized marketing firm in Chicago. I was great at my job. I climbed the ladder without stepping on anyone, built trust, handled million-dollar clients, and stayed late when no one else would. My brother Kyle? He coasted through life on charm and borrowed ideas. He was the kind of guy who failed, upward, always landing on his feet, even when he tripped over his own laziness. We weren't close. Not since he stole my prom date in high school, then laughed about it for years like it was the funniest thing in the world. Still, I didn't think much of it when I heard our company was restructuring. You know that word. Corporate lingo. For we're about to screw you over, but we're going to make it sound professional. So I showed up to work on a Monday morning, already sensing something was off. My key card didn't work. My email was locked. HR called me in like I was a stranger, like I hadn't just landed our biggest client the month before. They said my position had been eliminated, downsized, discontinued, all with that smug little sympathy face. I walked out of the building with my cardboard box and my pride barely intact. No warning. No thank you. Just gone. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I went home and poured myself a glass of wine, sat down on the couch, and stared at the wall for an hour. And then my phone rang. It was Kyle. His voice oozed with fake concern. "Oh, man, I just heard what happened. That's rough," he said, dragging out the last word like he was trying not to laugh. Then came the punchline. "Well, funny thing, I actually just got hired at your old company. Your boss said they were looking for someone more fresh. You know, someone who could think outside the box." He laughed. That loud frat boy cackle that made me want to hurl the phone across. "The room. I guess I'll be working with your team now. Crazy, right?" "Yeah. Crazy." The call ended. I sat there, staring at my reflection in the black TV screen. My brother had taken my job, or something close to it. He didn't have my experience, my education, or even the right skill set. But he had something more valuable. Connections. You see, Kyle played golf with our former boss once a month, slid into boardroom conversations like it was a hot tub. All charm, no substance. He loved bragging. And when he found out he got hired to replace me, it was all over his social media. Selfies in the office, inspirational quotes about new beginnings, hashtags like "Bunch of Corporate King" and "Big Moves." He even posted a photo at my old desk, captioned, "Looks better with me in it." That one stung. But I didn't comment. I didn't even block him. I watched. Quietly. And I made a plan. You see, I didn't just leave with a cardboard box. I left with something much better. Leverage. While Kyle was busy trying to figure out how to use Excel, I was being headhunted by a competitor, a much bigger one that had just acquired a controlling share of my old firm, but hadn't gone public with it yet. The irony? They offered me a position almost immediately, higher pay, more power, and a very specific job title. Senior Integration Director. Translation. I was now in charge of managing the merger and overseeing every department at my former company. Yes, including the one my brother worked in. But I didn't show my cards right away. I waited. Watched. Let Kyle settle into his new throne, made of lies and stolen credit. He started wearing suits like a kid playing dress-up, giving motivational speeches he probably stole from YouTube. Taking long lunches and shorter workdays, he thought he was untouchable. Until the press release dropped. The press release hit the internet at 9 a.m. Sharp. By 9:05, my phone was blowing up, not from friends or family. No, these were old coworkers, people who had watched me get unceremoniously tossed out like week-old takeout, suddenly pretending they'd always been on my side. Wow, congrats. This is huge. Can't wait to work with you again. Right. Where was all this enthusiasm when I was cleaning out my desk? Still, I smiled. Not out of joy, but satisfaction. I hadn't just been rehired. I was coming back as their direct superior, tasked with realigning talent during the transition. Nice corporate phrase for, I get to decide who stays and who goes, and I already knew where to start. Kyle, the cherry. On top, the press release included a photo of me, not a LinkedIn headshot. A full-blown power pose portrait taken in my new corner office. Hair on point. Makeup like war paint. That photo did all the talking. The headline? Former senior. Account executive returns as director of strategic operations after major acquisition. Translation? The woman you fired is now running the show. I imagined Kyle reading that, choking on his overpriced protein shake. Sweat beading on that smug forehead. I didn't have to wait long to see his reaction. At 10:21 a.m., he called me. Did I answer? Course not. I let it ring. Twice. Then sent him to voicemail. Seconds later, a text came in. Kyle. Hey, just saw the news. This some kind of joke? A minute later. Kyle. Seriously, are you actually working here again? As my boss? Then the panic escalated. Kyle, you're not thinking of firing me, are you? I didn't reply. Silence was louder. That afternoon, I scheduled a company-wide Zoom meeting, my first as director. The invite said, mandatory, cameras on, attendance will be noted. Guess who was the first to log in? Kyle, pale, eyes darting like a trapped rat. He wore a tie for the first time since he started. Cute. I gave a calm, professional welcome. Thanked everyone for their patience during the transition. Then I said the words I had been dying to say since the day they fired me. I've reviewed the performance metrics for each department, and in the coming days, I'll be conducting one-on-one evaluations with key staff, particularly those in roles recently created or restructured. Kyle visibly flinched. Yeah, I saw that. The rest of the week, he was a shadow of the peacock he used to be. No selfies, no hashtags, no long lunches. Just a man slowly realizing his stolen kingdom had a very real queen, and she'd come home for her crown. The one-on-one meetings began Monday morning. I saved Kyle for Friday. Let him stew. When he finally walked into my office, yes, my office, he looked like a deflated balloon in a department store suit. He didn't even sit. Look, he started. I know how this must seem, but I didn't take your job. They offered it to me. I figured, why not? I leaned back in my chair, completely composed. Kyle, I said, do you know what your job title even means? Blinked. Client engagement coordinator? Do you know what you do here? Silence. That was answer enough. I slid a folder across the desk. Inside, documentation of his login history, late arrivals, skipped reports, plagiarized emails. Oh, and a lovely little side note from HR about a complaint he filed against me the day after I got promoted. Said I created a hostile family dynamic. Imagine that. He looked up at me with wide eyes. The kind of look a kid gives when they realize they're not getting away with breaking the vase. You're firing me? He asked, voice barely above a whisper. I smiled. No, Kyle. His shoulders relaxed. I'm putting you somewhere you actually belong. And that's when I slid him the transfer notice. The transfer notice wasn't a pink slip. Oh no, it was worse. Kyle was being moved to the company's smallest, most overlooked satellite office, a glorified closet in a building so far out of town even the GPS sighed in defeat. I called it his special project. When he asked what the project was, I smiled sweetly and said, It's a great opportunity to build your leadership skills. We need someone to turn around that branch. Kyle didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The truth, that office, was a death sentence. No clients, no budget, no staff. Just one dusty desk and a fax machine that never worked. And the best part? I sent a company-wide email announcing the move. Signed it as Strategic Operations Director. The whole company knew. Suddenly, the kid who bragged about stealing my job was now managing a ghost town. But I wasn't done yet. See, while Kyle was busy trying to figure out how to send an email without IT help, I was quietly negotiating a performance bonus for successfully consolidating departments and increasing profitability during the merger. Part of my plan was to keep Kyle visible enough to make him squirm, but powerless enough to keep him out of my way. A few weeks in, I dropped a hint during a board meeting. While Kyle's efforts at the satellite office have been, well, educational, I recommend we reconsider the viability of that location altogether, I said, voice dripping with faux concern. It was a slow squeeze. Kyle's panic turned to desperation. He started begging for transfers back to headquarters, promising to step up. I smiled and nodded, then reminded him of one thing. The company's future depends on results. And right now, the satellite office's numbers are non-existent. He realized the truth. No more shortcuts. No more relying on Daddy's golf buddies. Kyle had to earn his place. The hard way. And I got to watch from the top floor as the empire I built, the one he tried to steal, flourished under my leadership. Oh, and the cherry on top, the news channels started running stories about the successful merger. The headline, Woman Who was fired returns as boss, turns company around, and fires brother in process. Kyle tried to deny it, of course. But no one believed the guy who couldn't even manage his own email account. In the end, the best revenge wasn't just seeing him fall.